In episode number 337 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, we cover the Pokemon Day Nintendo Direct announcement.
We also have Rotten Tomatoes being the biggest MCU sheep of all as they remove the audience score throughout their whole site, and we'll talk about why.
And our comic book highlight this week is the fan favorite preview catalog for March 2019.
All of this and so much more on today's episode.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke every single week, ranging from comics, movie, TV, video games, and so much more. I am your Emperor Palpa Kelli.
And I am Cool Trainer Daniel.
How cool.
Super cool.
For those of you joining us for the very first time, the way we format the show is first we're going to start out with some news, covering all those things I just mentioned. We have our Bro Cat block, which is what happened with us this week, our Patreon shoutouts, and then at the very end, we'll have our previews highlights.
Let's kick things off with video game news, and it is a massive, huge bit of news.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. Dun 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 dun. Pokemon is brand new news. You always gotta mix them together, always.
During a Pokemon Day live stream announcement, the Pokemon Company unveiled Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield for the Nintendo Switch.
That is correct, guys. The Nintendo Switch. So not really a handheld. It's finally on a console like people have been asking for forever for whatever reason.
It is on the console that you prefer it to be. This is the constant argument with the Switch, because on the LGG stream, or on the Discord, they were talking about whether or not the Nintendo Switch is portable enough to be considered a portable system.
No.
I came to the conclusion, because a lot of them on there were like, yeah, I take it with me all the time. I just have it in my bag, or I have it in my cargo pants, and I take it with me everywhere I go. And most people, based on the usage that Nintendo has essentially data mined, most people actually play it on the go. They play it in that handheld mode as opposed to on the system, which is weird for me. Actually, you play it in handheld as well.
Yeah, that's the only way I play it. I played it on the TV twice, and that was only because I was playing with the Pokeball.
So to me, this counts as a portable Pokemon game and a console Pokemon game. It is both.
But it scares me. So it's only portable when it's in my house. I wouldn't take it outside of my house because there's so much room for it to break. So much room. And then how long does the battery really last? No.
We'll just wait until the Pokemon Switch or Nintendo Switch 2.0, because that thing is going to be longer battery life. It's probably going to be smaller. It's going to be thinner. There's going to be no type of television connectivity, I'm sure. So this is what you're going to want to wait for if you really strictly want it to be a portable experience. But right now you have an option. You have the choice. It can be whatever you want it to be. And that's the same with this game. You want to have it at home, have it be the console Pokemon. You want it on the go, it is still Pocket Monsters.
For this new game, though, they have released an all-new region called Galar? Galar? Something, which looks like it's inspired by the UK.
As expected, at the very end of the trailer... Well, first let's go over the graphics. Let's talk about the look of the game. This is, as expected, the Pokemon Let's Go engine. It is exactly the same models that we got in Let's Go. It is the beautiful environments, except it does seem bigger than Let's Go from what I've seen. It's not as compact as this Pokemon Yellow remake.
I will throw out that they did have plastered all over that thing, not actual gameplay. So while I do think the graphics still will look very nice like they did in Let's Go, it was not actual gameplay through that whole thing. I saw it like 4 times.
Do you think that those are specifically cutscenes that they're showing? I mean, it looks like it's still in-game graphics and engine.
Yes, but I think it was made specifically for this trailer. I don't think we're going to see that anywhere in the game, but they had to give us something to get us hyped for it.
It seems like they focused a bit on trainer look. Maybe there's more customization in this game compared to Pokemon Let's Go.
Yeah, because you can't be a redhead, and I take offense to that. I'm sorry, continue.
The Pokemon company's like, all right, then you can be a redhead again, but we take your Team Rocket costume.
No!
There's always there's a give and take here with all of this. Well, in this one, at the very end of the trailer, they revealed the new Pokemon as expected. We are getting the reveal of the starters. They did this with Pokemon Sun and Moon, and that's when all this great fan art released of people making up what they think is going to be the evolutions to the starters, and usually it ends up being way cooler than what it ends up showing on the game. But regardless, we have 3. We've got fire, water, and grass.
So first up, they showed the grass type monkey. Oh, that was the last one. Whatever. They showed the grass type monkey named Grookey.
Thoughts on the grass monkey?
I mean, he's cute, but I feel like we've seen it before.
Yeah, we've had monkey Pokemon, but so what? Like, if they tried to make it
Yeah, but
new,
like the face looked exactly the same.
and the face looked the same on all 3 starters, honestly.
Yes,
I was like,
they
this
did.
is pretty much like the Entei and Raikou. It's like, are these the 3 legendary starters? What's going on here? They all came from the same evolution. I'm fine with it. I just thought that was interesting that they had pretty much the exact same face. But I'm sure as they evolve, they're going to look vastly different from each other.
I will say, and we'll continue to talk about it, but one thing they really made a point of showing with this trailer and the 3 starters is that they all have very different personalities. So it would be interesting to me if their nature plays a bigger role in this game than, because I know you can get certain Pokemon with certain natures, and if you play competitively, that's something that you really look at. Obviously, I don't care, but they did put more of an emphasis on it in Pokemon Let's Go. I just got to this town where you talk to this like channeler, and depending on what you tell her, you'll only meet Pokemon with that nature for the rest of the day.
Oh, that's really cool.
Which is pretty interesting. You gotta pay her $10,000. Like, psh, I'm gonna buy these $10,000 sunglasses for my Pikachu instead. So, because they put emphasis on that, it'll be interesting if that plays a bigger role in the game. I'm sorry, continue. Grookey.
No. I mean, that's great. With Grookey itself, I think the design has a stick in its hair, the top of its head, whatever it is. So I'm guessing that that's going to play some part in maybe the weapons that it uses, the evolution, of course. I wouldn't be shocked if it used like branches or a stick, very much like Farfetch'd, once it gets to its third stage or second stage.
Witch Fox.
Right, or the Delphox, I think it was.
Something like that.
So, I mean, it's cool that it's a monkey. This is what people always want, right? They want it to be based on real animals, because when they start basing it on objects or made up things, they start bitching and whining. So, yeah, we got Grookey. Not my starter, not my choice. Not the one I would pick if I bought this game.
Right.
Are we to yours yet?
Nope, not yet.
All right, the other Pokemon that they revealed, the other starter, is a fire type, Scorbunny.
Who came up with this name? This is the laziest name ever. Scorch and Bunny. Scorbunny.
Well, by that logic, then is Bulbasaur a lazy name? It's got a bulb on its back, and it kind of looks like a dinosaur. It's not a dinosaur, but it looks like
they ran out of things when they got to Bulbasaur, so they're
whatever.
Bulbasaur is way better than Scorbunny. I am a Gen 1er.
What about Mewtwo? Mew. What about the clone? Just call it Mewtwo.
We should have just named Leo Daniel too.
We should have, yes.
No.
Is Mewtwo a cool name?
Yeah.
Oh, why is that one okay? But it's because nostalgia, Kelly. That's
Can you
why.
just let me be a Gen 1er? Can you just let me have that in my life?
You're definitely being a Gen 1er.
Yep.
What'd you think of Scorbunny?
It was a bunny that's a fire bunny.
Do you not like the design? What do you think? What's happening here?
I don't know. Again, I feel like none of these are very striking. None of them got me excited like they have in previous games. But I haven't really liked the starters that they've come out with recently, so.
The one thing on its face, is that a bandage or is that just like a weird pattern? Because it looks like the nose is right underneath it, or maybe being slightly covered by it.
It looks like a bandage, but it's probably a pattern, but I imagine it will lead into something later when
like
it
over
evolves.
its eyes to make it look kind of meaner.
I think what it's probably going to end up being is a fighting fire type, which we've seen a million times,
Sure.
right? But that kind of looks like something that you'd wear over your nose if you were fighting, and that's my interpretation.
Do you think there's any kind of dual types that we're going to see? Well, we'll cover it at the end. Let's go to the final one, which is actually the one that I would go with.
Yeah, that's
if
the one I would
this.
go with too.
It's Sobble, named after sobbing, and we saw it in the trailer itself. It seems to be kind of sad and down and crying, and that is the water type.
Right. It probably has a timid nature, if we're throwing that out there. This is pretty cool, though, because it's like invisible, right? When you first run into it, because it's hiding. So you know this thing's going to have massive high defense.
Is that going to be a salamence or like a salamander type of inspired design?
Yeah,
Which animal is this?
They said it was a lizard. They said it was a water lizard.
All right.
Of course, I knew you'd go for that because it's the amphibian.
I just thought it reminded me of Mudkip. Like, a lot of people have been making that comparison.
Yeah, it looks
and I'm
a lot
fine
like
with
Mudkip.
it.
You loved Mudkip.
I love Mudkip, so I'm naturally going to be very happy with this. It also reminded me of that water legendary that kind of floats around. There's 2 types to it. And it's like this. It's pretty much the shape of its head.
Oh, and he's like green?
No, it's definitely blue, and it floats around, and it's kind of like in the same family as Jirachi and Mew and all
a
them.
W name?
I don't remember, but
and it
doesn't that
came
not
out
kind of
like
look
the same type as one of the movies?
Yeah, it was in one of the
and
movies.
It was a baby.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember his name.
So that's what that also reminded me of, like a mix between that and the Mudkip. And this seems like the one that I'm definitely going to go with. But I can see this guy evolving into like a mean motherfucker, like this big, bulky fucking guy with its giant tail.
No more.
That's right. That's the one I'm going for. And I don't know if I'm actually going to buy the game, honestly. Like, when am I going to have time to play it, right?
That's how I feel.
The dual types that we believe, because it seems like there's always some kind of dual type to it. Let's start with the grass type. Which was, I got to get used to these names, Grookey. Is that going to be ground grass, or are we going to get grass fighting even?
You know, if I had to guess, you're going to think I'm crazy, because I think they're going to do crazy things, right? We've already seen grass and ground in a starter. So I'm going to go with grass and flying because it's a monkey. It's all up in the trees.
That's a wild guess. All right. I think that the fire type, because it reminds me of, the more cutesy Pokemon that they've had. So I'm going to run with Fire Fairy.
That's what I was going to say too, especially because they gave it that white palette. I would go with Fire Fairy.
Final one, that is the water and what? What kind of camouflages itself?
What? Oh.
I'm reminded of Vaporeon, but that one was strictly water.
Yeah. Well, you also have Porygon.
All right.
I mean,
which was that normal type.
That one could potentially be Water Fairy.
That's true too, especially with another design on it.
Didn't Porygon become a fairy type?
That I'm not sure about.
Porygon Z?
No, they weren't fairy types then.
Somebody was a fairy type. You could also go with Psychic. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a water or electric because it got that yellow thing on the top of his head.
I can see that too. See, I was leaning water psychic or water dark in this case. Because of that kind of nature of hiding and all that.
The Grookey might be grass dark.
I can see that too. I think we got that with Rowlet in the last generation, though. So that's why I'm thinking that we're not.
Rowlet was ghost, wasn't he?
Oh, that's what?
He was grass and ghost.
Maybe. So it could be grass dark.
His Z move was a ghost something.
Okay, gotcha.
I thought so. Maybe. I don't remember. Fuck, I didn't really play these games.
So most likely, I think for Sobble, it'll be psychic or dark, along with the water typing. But those were the 3 new Pokemon that they announced. Do you think there's... Obviously, the legendaries are going to be involved in some way with the shield shape or the sword shape. But we did not get any look at those. So they'll probably be on the box art and we'll see them then. But it's still too early to tell. They're just showing off the starters for now. I
think it's really interesting they went with the names Shield and Sword because it's so far out of the realm of, I think, anything that they've done before.
Well, so is X and Y and Sun and Moon.
I guess.
Like, people are like, what? They're away from colors? It's like, they've been away from colors for generations, literally.
We haven't played for those generations. We just want to complain.
The last time, is it too soon, Papa Kelly? Is it too soon? A new generation since the last one?
No, because wasn't it still a few years ago that we had that last? I mean...
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Going with the trend of Pokemon, no, this is about right where they've been. Do I think this game is going to be as good as Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu? I do not.
Why not? Why don't you think this is going to be as good?
I feel like at least for me, right? Let's Go Pikachu hit that sweet spot of nostalgia and easy and pick it up and play. So us in our lives, we no longer have time to really invest in video games like we used to. So again, and I know I talked about it in length on the podcast before, but I'm looking for something that I can pick up, play for a minute, enjoy, get that high that it used to bring me, right? Because that's what nostalgia does to all of us, is it gives us that high, and that's why we keep going back to it. And then I can set it down and keep going. I don't feel that you're going to get that with this game.
This is definitely a more immersive experience compared to Let's Go.
Yes, and I'm going to get frustrated, and I'm not going to like the graphics.
The graphics are fine.
And
They're
I'm
the
going to be
same.
mad because I'm not going to play it competitively or smartly. I just want to throw my Pokeball at things and level up my Pokemon and keep going.
To anyone that was concerned that this was going to be, that Let's Go format was going to be it moving forward, this definitely answered that question because it looks like random encounters are back when you go into the grass. It's definitely a much bigger game. This is not the more portable experience, I guess I would say. This does seem like a much larger game than we've gotten. This is the quote-unquote real game that gamers wanted instead of Let's Go. And they saw Let's Go as a hybrid between a traditional Pokemon game and Pokemon Go from your smartphone.
And it's great.
And it's fine and it's great, and I know you have a lot of fun with it, but for the gamers that want a more traditional Pokemon experience, this is what this is. That's for them.
Did you not see that giant Venusaur hopping around behind me yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
So much fun.
I didn't see any Pokemon following you in this. I was kind of disappointed with that.
I know, I'm so sad. They didn't want to spend all that time with all those Pokemon, because Let's Go does not have that many Pokemon.
You can't get every single Pokemon ever, like, in that game?
And maybe if you trade them over using whatever, but it's only, like, it's strictly 151 is all that I found. You get Alolan versions, you can trade for them.
And those will follow you.
Yeah, they'll follow, but you don't, like, I have the Diglett with a little hair. But I haven't seen anything besides the originals.
This new one, whether or not Papa Kelly and I end up getting it, is set to release late 2019. I'm thinking November, just in time for the holidays, as they have done in the past.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure this game will do well, too. Especially since they're putting it on the console and people have been asking for it for so long. So, good on them.
Nintendo Switch is on fire. People are loving it. They're getting it. And it needs a Pokemon game. And this is exactly what we're getting. It now has 2 Pokemon games on it. If you want a more casual experience, you've got Let's Go. If you want something that you can really dive into and go into the mechanics, the natures, the attributes, as Kelly was saying, then it sounds like Pokemon Sword and Shield are going to be that game. Which one am I getting, of course? If I were to get one, you guessed it.
Shield.
Yeah, you knew immediately.
Because
you're going to get
defensive.
Shield.
Well, you know how we can always tell what Pokemon game you're going to get? I think about what game I would get and look at the opposite. And it's worked and I'm not even kidding. Every single Pokemon game that has been released, you and I want a different game.
And I always end up choosing the one that sells the least out of the 2.
Didn't you break that one time?
Yeah, but I feel like there was a different rule to it, or there was like a weird exception. Maybe it was with X and Y.
Like 2. It was the second one. Black and White 2. Wasn't that the one where you got the other one?
Maybe it was that one.
Maybe it was X. I don't
one
remember.
Of them.
It was something weird.
But I do think that Shield is going to be the lesser of sales as far
course,
as that. Because people want the
sword.
They want the attack, they want to be strong, so they're going to go with the sword.
Do you think the names will affect what your Pokemon, or maybe items you get that influence attack or defense for your Pokemon?
No, I don't think so at all.
No?
I think it's strictly the legendaries and certain differences, certain Pokemon you can only get in one or the other. That's basically it. I don't think it's going to go as hardcore as that.
It would, I mean, it'd be cool though. Like it's its first console game, so let's make it for the hardcore
Well,
gamers.
people would be pissed because it's like, no, I want some Pokemon to be defensive. I want some to be high in attack. It wouldn't work out too well.
Something that looks like it's going to work out fantastically is Detective Pikachu, and we got another trailer.
It ended up burning up the internet, took all everyone's attention away from Captain Marvel, away from the original Captain Marvel, away from any other trailer that might be
all of them
anywhere. Remember last time it destroyed...
Were there other trailers?
Last time it destroyed Toy Story 4 to the point where Disney had to release another teaser. Be like, hey guys, wait, this one. Pay attention to this one.
I feel like it even overshadowed the Oscars because we gave 0 fucks about that this year.
It's going to make so much fucking money.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby and I were talking about it, and he thinks it's going to be the 3rd highest grossing movie of this year.
Really? I could see it.
He put it right behind Avengers and there was another one in there that he put it right under, but he says that this is going to be the 3rd one. And yeah, I think it's definitely going to be... Aquaman was last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I can't say 1 billion in there, but it's gonna do really well. And I have some people coming into the store and they're saying this should be... I want the next one to be an anime adaptation in live action. And I said, nope, Never. Never do that, because it's not going to be the same as what people grew up on.
Right.
And even the movies now that are animated that come out and have the same characters, people aren't going into droves to see them in theaters. They're always like a Fathom event thing, and that is it. It's not a wide release. If anything, we'll get a Detective Pikachu 2 before we get something close to the anime. We'll get another spinoff. We'll probably get Mystery Dungeon even. Like any one of those offshoot games would be a better idea than trying to adapt the anime.
Pokemon Snap.
Even Pokemon Snap is going to happen before the anime.
Be great.
The trailer itself came out. We got even more looks at Pokemon. We got Ludicolo, which became a meme immediately.
He was awesome. Serving drinks at a bar.
Yeah, and Pikachu going up against Charizard locked in that cage. So that's what ended up happening. And he actually turns to the main character and says, "Get me the hell out of here." There's now a petition going around of change that to fuck. Like, have an R rating.
Get me the fuck out of here.
Get me the fuck out of here. Did you ever expect Pikachu to say hell in any fucking movie?
No, never. I definitely didn't expect it to show up in the trailer. That's probably the worst thing he's going to say.
Yeah, I think so too.
I could potentially foresee a moment where we look at him and he's saying like all his Pika Pika Pikas like really fast, and he's like, "Whoa, you can't say that, Pikachu." Like that I could definitely see. And then you're like, "Ooh, he's cussing."
I think Charizard still looks cringy as fuck.
Oh,
looks terrible. We got more shots of Bulbasaur though.
Yes.
He looked amazing.
Adorable.
And there were several of them.
They were just frolicking. Like, look at all these butterflies. We don't need to be fighting.
What else did we see? We got another closer look at Psyduck. There was Snorlax blocking the street. Not as big as I expected, but it looked amazing as like this big furry bear.
Do you think, are all the Pokemon to correct scale?
I don't think so,
because Charizard's huge and Charizard's only 5 feet tall.
Yeah, Charizard's shorter than you and I.
Yeah. I'm not that tall, but he's shorter than me.
Well, even Pikachu is like huge in this. Like Detective Pikachu, like Pikachu is supposed to be the size a little bit smaller than Ace in the video game.
Really? I thought Pikachu was like 3 feet or something.
No. You can look it up.
I'm going to Google this and we'll see who's right. I stand corrected. Pikachu is only 1 foot 4 inches and weighs 13 pounds.
That's right.
I thought he was bigger than that.
Nope.
Aw.
I think all 3 starters are bigger than Pikachu.
Probably. Whatever. Pikachu's still the best. We do get a pretty big reveal of a Pokemon flying around.
Hold on. Well,
okay,
Machamp. What about Machamp?
Being all sexy?
Yeah, like directing the street, like this way.
Over there.
Like posing.
I'll flex. Point
Sexy
with my
Machamp.
hips.
Point with his fucking pecs. Pointing with his buttocks. Like, like he can point with one. Like he just flexes the one.
Is that how much control
It's his
he has?
ability. Lowers the fence.
We got to see more Mr. Mime.
Yeah, it seems like we're gonna get. Maybe he's gonna join the two characters. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get a whole lot of Bulbasaur or Charizard's definitely gonna have like that big scene versus Pikachu. But it seems like maybe they follow a path and they follow the Bulbasaur around. So Squirtle, we did not really. I didn't see any.
We haven't seen any Squirtles yet, but I'm sure he's going to be in there somewhere. They have to put him in there somewhere.
Maybe he's the least represented out of the 3 starters. Yeah, Charmander even. We didn't get a good look at.
Bulbasaur is what we saw in the trailer. That's it for Bulbasaur.
No.
Just those seconds.
I think we're going to get more Bulbasaur than Squirtle or Charmander. We'll get more Charizard for sure than any one of those, and then Pikachu the most. But the other Greninja also is going to get a lot of screen time. We got even more. A bigger look at Greninja, and it seems like they're coming out of these cells or these cases, so there's some kind of Pokemon experimentation going on. Probably mind control, if I had to guess. Definitely tied into. Now we can talk about that big reveal, which is Mewtwo.
Mewtwo flying around the city, blowing up floats or whatever he was blowing up.
I mean, we kind of talked about that last time. We expected Mewtwo to be in the movie. However, you and I disagree on what that role is going to be.
We do disagree, and I'm calling it here in front of all of our broquettes, so I'm amazed that you're still fighting with me on this.
I gotta make it interesting.
Where you are saying that Mewtwo will just be the end-all be-all villain.
I think he's going to be a villain in this.
No.
I don't know if it's going to be end-all. I'm sure Team Rocket will be, or whoever the kidnappers are. The people experimenting on the Pokemon.
No, I think, so he may initially cause some ruckus, but I think he's going to end up teaming up with them. And
some ruckus. He blows up a Pikachu balloon.
Yeah, okay. And why would they, if he was like the for sure villain, why would you show that in the trailer?
You said that they're
team up.
Okay. Well, all right. They're going to team up.
Yes.
Obviously, he's not going to get knocked out or anything like that. So he's gonna turn on the main villains and blast them off, right?
Yes. And help.
Maybe I can agree with that.
No, we've already determined we shook on it in the kitchen in the middle of the night. So now, no, you're locked in.
All right, fine, I'm locked in.
And when I'm right, then you owe me something. I don't know what it is yet, but you owe me.
Here's my other question: Are we gonna see Mew? If Mewtwo is in this, we gotta see Mew.
We're
There's a glimpse
see Mew
of it.
at like the end of the credits or something.
I think we'll get him. We'll see like a silhouette of Mew, just like in the Pokemon movie.
You're just gonna see a sparkle and you're Mew.
What about Lugia or Ho-Oh?
No, fuck them. I don't think you're gonna see any legendaries besides
Mew and Mewtwo.
Mew and Mewtwo. Unless that thing coming out of the mountain that we keep seeing is a legendary.
Groudon?
Maybe. I think, realistically, I think that's some, like, evil science experiment. Because that's what it always is.
Yeah, usually it is. Detective Pikachu is set to release on May 10th, 2019. So I think this is probably going to be the big trailer before the movie comes out. We'll get some TV spots here or there, but this one and the last one are basically it.
Another big release for this year will be Hellboy, which is getting rebooted from a previous one by Guillermo del Toro, my favorite director. Previously, in Guillermo del Toro's, we had Dougie Jones as Abe Sapien.
Yep.
Who is one of my favorite actors. Will he be in this new one? No.
Not at all. Dougie Jones said that he turned down an offered role to cameo in this Hellboy film. And he told the Hollywood Reporter, quote, "There was a chance that a cameo might have happened, but not as things progressed. Reboot means recasting, and I'm told this first reboot does not have anybody in it from the original film. I received an offer to do a cameo, but I was deeply immersed in Star Trek Discovery when that offer came in, so I couldn't do it." End quote.
They didn't put enough zeros on this paycheck.
I actually think it goes deeper than that.
Yeah?
Because he has such a close relationship with Guillermo. He's been in El Laberinto del Fauno, as known, Pan's Labyrinth. So he said, no one from the original films are in this. I would be an asshole if I took that paycheck and decided to be in this, which Guillermo is strongly against. Ron Perlman is he's still on Twitter going off about this reboot because he is not Hellboy anymore.
Right.
And Guillermo wanted a big budget, did not get it, so he said, fuck this movie. It's like it'd be betraying the team if he took that role. His
family, yeah. I could see it. I love Dougie Jones, but at least he was very nice about it. Oh, I'm in Star Trek.
When he said reboot means recasting, do you think he's implying that they wanted him to cameo as Abe Sapien?
I think they probably did because where else are you going to find somebody like Dougie to play these kind of characters, right? He's fantastic at what he does. I'm amazed that he hasn't won an Oscar for all this great work that he does. And you're going to have such a difficult time finding somebody who can fill that role as easily as he did.
He's yet another reason why I'm really sad and upset that we're not watching Star Trek Discovery, because I'm sure he's one of the best parts of the show, if not the best.
I did see him in it. My parents were watching it. And his character came on, and I immediately knew it was him. Didn't even know he was in the show. And I was like, that's Dougie. Like, he does all these different characters, but there's still that piece of Dougie that's a part of it. And it was very similar to his character in Shape of Water, very similar to Abe Sapien, that same kind of prosthetic that they put on him and the way that he moved. And I was just like, there he is.
So it's all like actual effects and makeup. That's fantastic. That's how you fucking do it, man.
Well, with Dougie Jones, like specifically, that's what you got to do.
I know in a similar interview, I didn't include it in the show notes, he did say that he would love to play Silver Surfer again in the Marvel Universe, and that he was actually on their contract for 2 more films after the Fantastic Four sequel. They planned on using more Silver Surfer. Unfortunately, we did not get any of that, and at that point, the contract goes away, right? When the franchise doesn't continue, it's kind of like an option. If they choose to make sequels, then you have that offer. So I would love to see him come back, even if it ends up being, they're going to have him like slipping on a banana and shit. You're going to get comedian Silver Surfer in the MCU, but I'd be happy to just know that he's getting work. I don't know if I'd see it. I would not if it's an MCU
Really?
film.
Not even
I would
for
not
Dougie Jones?
No, because they're bastards. Just like Jeff Goldblum. Poor Jeff Goldblum. They fucking, what a waste of goddamn talent in that goddamn comedy goofball movie that was Ragnarok. So I don't want to see that happen to him, but I'd be happy that he's at least getting, hopefully, a hefty paycheck.
I would love to see them make the Silver Surfer in the run that we just had with Dawn.
Yes.
I would see that.
Unfortunately, we probably won't get that, but that would be amazing. I really got to buy that Silver Surfer omnibus. Includes all the issues in one book. In case you do want to see the Hellboy reboot, though, it is set to release on April 12th.
Switching on over to the small screen for just a second, a series that I never thought we would see. If you said, Kelly, what series could potentially happen? And I pulled from the very back of my mind crazy things. This would not even be one of them. But a Gremlins animated series is in development for Warner Brothers' upcoming streaming service, according to Variety.
Definitely a nostalgia move, going after the adults, people about our age who can afford this streaming service, theoretically. Based on the hit 1980s film franchise, this new Gremlins cartoon is actually going to focus on Mr. Wing, who is a character who owned Gizmo at the beginning of the first film, but this is going to be when he was a young man living with the Mogwai. So we're going to get the early adventures of Mr. Wing.
Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan adventure.
Racist. That's racist. But my mind went there too. The Gremlins animated series with Mr. Wing. I mean, honestly, this is a direction you can go in. Like, where did he get the Mogwai? How's he end up building this this town? And the reason I made that connection, honestly, I'm going to make that. I'm going to tell you why. And maybe I'll get less heat because of it. And I'm hopefully saving you in the process. You can just agree that this is where your mind went to. With the Karate Kid, the reboot that they did with the, I don't know who it was, but Jackie Chan ended up being Mr. Miyagi. He owns a type of Chinese shop with different weird things, much like Mr. Wing did at the beginning of Gremlins. So that's kind of where my mind went. That's that connection. We're getting the early adventures and Jackie Chan adventures.
Probably where I got it too.
Yeah. See?
Thank you.
Saved.
I appreciate you.
Not racist.
Not at all.
Do you have any interest in this? I know you saw, was it the first one that we watched?
Mm-hmm. We did watch the first. I mean, I would watch it. I don't have that nostalgia piece that you do. I wasn't something that I watched as a kid. Obviously, I saw it within the last year, 2 years was the first time I watched it. And the whole time I'm like, the fuck is wrong with this kid? Like, he just told you not to do this and you're doing all this stupid stuff. You can't have a pet ever in your life, right? So I will watch the first episode just to see where they're going with it. But like you said, it's definitely for nostalgia if that's something that you saw before.
It's really cool that they're going animated with it. It would have been interesting to see if they went with puppets and tried to do a live action thing, but doing the animated format seems to be what people really like from Warner Brothers, and using, I'm guessing, a similar studio as WB Animation that they use for the DC films or DC home video stuff. That's going to be, it's a no-brainer, right? Why not use that same department and do something really neat with the Mogwai and eventually the Gremlins? I'm sure those are going to pop up in this.
Speaking of awesome animation, why Warner Brothers has yet to win an Oscar. Something else that you really, have they not won an Oscar?
The Suicide Squad?
Animated?
Oh, animated? I'd have to look that up. I would definitely have to look that up.
Palpa says, for the sake of this transition, that they have not won an Oscar yet.
All right.
But something did over the weekend, and that's Sony Pictures' Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which won for Best Animated Feature this year.
For the past 8 years, Disney has won in this category, and that streak ended with Sony and Spider-Verse. It won over Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, which is actually on my watch list, Mirai, and Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Well, Incredibles 2 was boring, so
it's
obviously...
fucking boring. It's as boring as these fucking latest MC. It's as boring as Doctor Strange.
So boring. I wouldn't say as boring as Doctor Strange.
It's pretty fucking boring.
It's not as boring as Doctor Strange, though. But yes, it is pretty boring. So great for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So happy to see that it won.
The only reason I talk about this is because it does break that streak for Disney, and it's also an awesome thing for Sony. It gives them even more leverage on this Spider-Verse and Sonyverse. We were talking about it earlier with one of my regulars, that if Spider-Verse and Venom had released 5-6 years ago, had that success, they never would have made this deal with Disney for them to borrow Spider-Man for, 3 films? I forgot what the deal is. But instead, this just gives them more leverage of, we never need to, maybe we don't have to renew that contract with Disney for them to keep using Spider-Man. Maybe we can just
make a better Spider-Man.
Yeah, keep making the money. Obviously, we saw with Venom, they made more money from that than they did with Homecoming because of that cash split. And in this case, now they have the awards to back it. Oscars as a whole, though, did not watch it this year, was not happy with the categories, with the nominations.
We didn't even do the Broscars. That's how unhappy we were.
We thought about doing it this year, but it's even harder because we saw even less movies than we did the previous years, be Parenthood.
Yes. I am getting in arguments with people at work, though, who feel that Black Panther should have won Best Picture.
Fucking insane. These people are out of their goddamn minds.
Green Book won Best Picture, which I hadn't heard of, hadn't seen.
It's got Viggo Mortensen.
Right. I'd probably like to see it, whatever. And they're like, I can't believe Green Book won. It should have been Black Panther. I'm like, oh, did you see Green Book? Well, no, but nobody did.
Oh, and I was that's the fucking category.
And I was like, okay, but that doesn't mean that it's not a better movie than Black Panther.
No, it's got to be most popular category.
Right, of course.
Fucking idiots.
So that's always my thing, is they're like, no, I haven't seen it, but nobody has, so obviously it wasn't the best picture.
That means nothing.
And I'm like, it doesn't mean that it wasn't put together better than any other movie that was released this year.
Like, if Transformers made more money than Black Panther and more people saw it, does that mean that then Transformers has to be
by their logic, yes.
They'd say no, though, because it's not the MCU.
They're like, well, Black Panther stood for something. Like,
get the fuck out. Every fucking movie stands for something. Like, every fucking one has a message. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Stand that fucking shit.
But with my celebrity gossip, Lady Gaga did almost kiss Bradley Cooper, so... there's that.
Yeah, we were watching that. Little GIFs.
Yeah.
Leaning in for kisses.
She was. And then she was like, oh, wait, I'm on stage, but we saw you, Gaga.
Who'd you say should have won the Academy Award? You saw that meme?
What?
Bradley Cooper's girlfriend or wife?
Bradley Cooper's girlfriend should have won Best Actress. Because she was clapping for Lady Gaga.
Sitting right next to her, too.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Something else that caused huge changes on a website that we refuse to click on or even go on, have them blocked on Twitter. I don't even want to see their fucking tweets. But after many, many users bombed Captain Marvel's Rotten Tomatoes page with tons of not interested reviews, Shazam and the original Captain Marvel star, Zachary Levi, took to Instagram stories to address fans and, in a way, defend Disney's movie.
Quote, for anyone out there who thinks you're doing me a favor or you're doing Shazam a favor or Warner Brothers, you're not. This is not helping anyone or anything. There is no competition. Just because Shazam used to be called Captain Marvel way back in the day doesn't mean that somehow Brie or Marvel's Captain Marvel is pitted against us. We're both movies and we're both going to be out in theaters at similar times. And the irony of that timing is really interesting, for sure, but there is no conspiracy, end quote.
So here's the thing that, once again, it ended up aligning in a way.
The stars aligned.
Well, where the DC Belugas and the right-wingers ended up lining up to the same exact side. Because what's happening is Brie has gone on several interviews and openly said that this movie is not for white men, this is for women, and that this is all about diversity, and being very candid, almost to the point of saying that they don't want white men to watch this movie. So that, of course, caused a stir. The same people that probably are speaking out against The Last Jedi and the changes that they've made there. I have zero interest in that particular argument because I'm not as huge on Star Wars. But they've then gone, okay, well, if you don't want us to see this movie, then we're not interested. So they went on to Rotten Tomatoes, and you have the option of interested, not interested, want to see. At least they used to. I don't know. I don't know if they still have the want to see thing, but they all went in there. Yep, not interested, not seeing it. Not interested, not seeing it. And if I were to go on there, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not seeing it either. Like, DC fans aren't seeing it.
Right.
So it ended up driving. What they do is they then calculate all of those votes into a percentage. So you have the movies percentage, which is from critics, MCU, sheep, and bloggers. And then you have the audience score, which is where you have like the disparaging Batman v Superman, where the audience score is really high and the critics score is really low. After the movie releases, that's when those actually people can put in reviews and you have the audience score. Before the movie comes out, that actual score is anticipation or people that plan to see it. So it ended up dropping and dropping and dropping day after day, incredibly low, which got Disney very nervous because a lot of times people see that and they'll think it's a score for the movie, not knowing that it's an audience gauging interest thing, which will then cost them ticket sales because people go by fucking scores and reviews and what people say, as opposed to just, I want to see it, I'll go watch it. I don't want to see it, I won't go see it. No, it's all about, oh, I heard that Captain Marvel wasn't very good. Oh, I heard that that Venom was shitty. Oh, I heard that Aquaman was terrible. Like, all of that is what people say all the time, and it happens every single time where I go, oh, well, I don't listen to critics. Oh, well, me neither. Yes, you do. This is why you brought this up at the beginning. And this is why people do, as a whole, listen to critics. This is why Rotten Tomatoes is as big as it is. This is why there are critics and bloggers. And this is why Rotten Tomatoes has disabled the audience score prior to the film's release.
Look at that.
And people say that there is no bias towards Disney and Marvel and the MCU.
None.
There is no bias against Warner Brothers and the DC Extended Universe. It is now that a movie is affected by the MCU and Disney. Before, when it happened to Venom, nothing. When it happened to Justice League or BVS or any of those movies, not a peep. Rotten Tomatoes is totally fine with it. But now that it's happening to the MCU and a Disney movie, ooh, now some changes have to happen. It's all fucking bought. Like, their fucking banner on goddamn Twitter has Brie Larson straight up in the front of the fucking thing. Of course there's a fucking bias on Rotten Tomatoes. And that's why it's evident right here. If you don't think there is, why do you think they disabled it for this? It's now for all movies. But after the Captain Marvels was actually affected.
It just goes to show you that Rotten Tomatoes is a broken system, right? You can't really get the accurate information from that. You can't really determine if you want to see the movie, if the movie's good, by what Rotten Tomatoes puts out. And this is just more fuel for that.
Rotten Tomatoes did put out a statement that said, quote, "Unfortunately, we have seen an uptick in non-constructive input, sometimes bordering on trolling, which we believe is a disservice to our general readership. We have decided that turning off this feature for now is the best course of action. Don't worry though, fans will still get to have their say. Once a movie is released, audiences can leave a user rating and comments as they always have," end quote.
And once it's released, we'll all say, not interested, and tank it again.
So what the users have now done, a lot of this crowd, is they've then moved over to the official Facebook page for Captain Marvel where you can leave a rating, and they're starting to drop that rating down. And they're going, hey, Disney, are you going to cancel Facebook next? What's going to happen?
Well, yeah, they're just going to disable it. It's just going to disappear.
Now ratings are disabled. Well, they do it all the time with the YouTube videos. Let's just disable the comments all of a sudden to have no one rate it or comment on it or do anything. So it's really fascinating. And once again, this is where these two minds have aligned, where these, white men that feel like they are being pushed out of, well, you don't want us to see your movie? All right, we're not going to see your movie.
Oh, it's tough being pushed out of things.
Well, I mean, look, if it comes out when it happens to minorities, yeah, it is tough. And when now it's happening, it's just as tough as well. So, but the DC Belugas are going, yeah, we're not going to see it either. Although a lot of them on my timeline, it kind of blows me away that a lot of the DC fans that I do follow and talk to are still seeing movies like Captain Marvel or Endgame. And to them, a lot of them in general did like Endgame. Mm-hmm. Which is really bizarre because we do align on stuff like Batman v Superman and what film is. And they feel like and everyone feels the same way, that they feel they have to see Captain Marvel to understand Endgame. They think it's like comic book tie-ins. You don't. You just watch the main series, you read the main book,
Right.
and you'll be fine. But because there's this rumor that she's the one who's going to defeat Thanos in the second Avengers Infinity War, that, we have to see this to see how she's... No, you don't have to. It's like Ant-Man. I only saw Ant-Man. I saw this on DC Twitter today. I only saw Ant-Man because I needed to see how they connected it to Endgame. They didn't. Of course they didn't. It just has this fucking post-credit scene that means nothing. You can just watch that shit on YouTube without having seen the whole fucking movie. And they still fall for it. And that's how most of these audiences are probably going to go into Captain Marvel with, we need to see how strong who gives a fuck? You don't have to. It's really, so I think that's really weird that a lot of these DC fans are still kind of seeing it, but that's different than these particular group of people, these men that are not seeing it for a different reason.
We kind of got sidetracked from it's all news, right? But I do want to go back to when we first jumped onto this and say that I actually appreciate Zachary Levi for saying, hey, none of this is helping, because by knocking this rating down, right, without, you're being biased again. It's just like all the people who are Marvel sheep who give it a good rating because they're biased, right? So people attacking Brie Larson in her movie, it doesn't really help anything. So I do appreciate him for stepping out and defending a fellow movie.
I think it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't think he needed to, and I don't think he was being pressured, at least by fans, to, hey, you should really say something about this. I think it was the studios, maybe talking, hey,
maybe.
Have your guy do something about that. And then it obviously didn't work. So then they're like, hey, Rotten Tomatoes, fucking strong arm them. So to me, I was like, they made you. That's fine. Whatever. I didn't
Whatever
have
you want to do,
unless.
Zachary Levi.
Shazam is set to release on April 5th. We're going to be there. We're going to see it. We're interested.
Put that on Rotten Tomatoes. Interested.
I can't.
Something else that we're interested in, though, which will be releasing supposedly December 16th, 2022, Aquaman 2.
My stunt double and I will be coming back for Aquaman 2. I cannot speak once again on The Trench. Haven't been called on that. But with the over $1 billion that Aquaman made,
$1 billion.
Of course we were going to get a sequel. But now we have a date, which is December 16, 2022. But this also lands on the exact same day that Disney had previously scheduled an unspecified live-action movie. So they are going head-to-head. It is the same thing of, I think it was Civil War and BVS. There was another type of thing, and one of them is obviously going to move.
Of course.
Especially after what happened with Mary Poppins and Aquaman, where that ended up not doing well. So I think the odds are more in Warner Brothers' favor in this case, because they're like, yeah, this is our billion-dollar film franchise now. What do you have? What are you going to release here?
What are you releasing, Disney?
Mary Poppins 2?
What do you think they could release that would match up?
I mean, maybe another Avengers film.
You think?
But it's not going to be that. Not in 2022.
Not even a recreation of an older animated one? Because, what haven't they done? They haven't done Sleeping Beauty. We haven't gotten a Snow White.
And maybe we'll get one of those next. This doesn't necessarily have to be an MCU film, but we're going to see what they end up announcing when they get to that slate of films. But right now, Aquaman is the highest grossing DC film of all time. Currently sits at $1.142 billion.
Oof.
Again, not counting for inflation. I think when you start changing those numbers, it's still, there's other films ahead of it. But the home video release is scheduled for March 5th. So more money for Aquaman, and Aquaman 2 is expected to probably break another $1 billion.
Hopefully. Are you going to be purchasing this on Blu-ray?
Aquaman 2, or the first one, no. I'm not going to be. No, it's my second least favorite of the DCEU. I enjoyed it. Not enough to watch it again, honestly. Not enough to purchase it.
See, I do want to point out, though, that you didn't like Man of Steel when it first came out. And then the more you watched it, the more you enjoyed it.
Maybe it's going to be the same with Aquaman. It's possible.
Maybe. I mean, it was your movie, right? You were in it. You should enjoy it.
The difference between Man of Steel and Aquaman, though, is clearly Snyder put in way more shit to digest in Man of Steel than James Wan put in Aquaman. So upon way more viewings, that's when you start to really appreciate the stuff that was in Man of Steel, that is in BVS, and that hopefully is in the Scott Snyder cut of Justice League.
I'm going to start petitioning for that soon.
You really should, because apparently that fucking works. What were they tweeting you?
It's my palpa powers, because there's another Constantine show.
Allegedly. I didn't include it here because it's not really confirmed yet, but several brochettes were saying that you have the power of saving Constantine.
I have the power of a lot of things. You guys just don't realize it. You think me calling myself the Emperor is just, Kelly's being silly. No. It's for real. It's for real, guys.
Another person making some calls over at Warner Brothers is CEO of Film and TV Kevin Tsujihara, who had an interview with the LA Times and said that the DC films staying independent of each other is, quote, the right strategy for the time being.
We do have a quote here, quote, the upcoming slate with Shazam, Joker, Wonder Woman 1984, and Birds of Prey feels like we're on the right track. We have the right people in the right jobs working on it. The universe isn't as connected as we thought it was going to be 5 years ago. You're seeing much more focus on individual experiences around individual characters. That's not to say we won't at some point come back to the notion of a more connected universe. End quote.
It sounds like they're taking a step back to what their strategy was, which was working fine up until they decided to hit the panic button, get rid of Snyder's version of Justice League, and which probably would have made as much money as Man of Steel did, as Batman v Superman did, and Suicide Squad helped enrich that universe with the connection of Superman's death, right? And that was addressed in Suicide Squad. And the threat of the alien, which was the catalyst to all of these films, fantastic, started with Man of Steel. And because of that change, that panic button, now we're getting this all new direction that is kind of taking several steps back. This was working. You don't have to have separate individual movies for all the characters before you joining up. You don't have to. Clearly, you don't have to do the MCU route because the other one was working. But instead, they are going to take their time. Aquaman, if anything, confirmed that this was the right track. It made $1 billion. So they're going to follow the money. They're going to go with that team-up movie made less money than all the movies that we have in the DCEU, so let's follow this track of individual movie experiences. What I still want out of this, and what Kelly and I definitely want, are just good films, good experiences, and something on the level of something higher than, the MCU junk food that we have on the opposite end. And hopefully that is something we're going to get with the Wonder Woman sequel. I don't know if we're going to get that with Aquaman 2. We'll see if it goes a little bit better. But this has instead sparked the MCU sheep going into this again, saying from the beginning they need to do this like Disney. They need to do this like the MCU, set up the characters first and then join them up. And now that they're going that route of let's just do individual properties and make those strong. And as he's hinted, maybe later on we'll think about doing crossovers again. Now they're saying exactly what I fucking thought they would, which is, where'd they get that idea from?
We were right.
Not that they were right. Now they're calling them copycats. You fucking copycats.
See, and I didn't read his quote as eventually they'll all come back together again. I read his quote as maybe we'll do a reboot and start this over again like we had intended. Unfortunately, because of bullshit like Justice League, unfortunately things like Rotten Tomatoes, this is the direction for the world that we're in right now, that they have to go, that they feel they have to go to be successful.
I think you and I are still on that side of let's watch them, let's wait and see, and the ones that we don't like will fucking drop out. If let's say Birds of Prey ends up being fucking awful, then we won't be in there for Birds of Prey 2.
Don't even speak that into the universe. It's got Ewan McGregor. It's got to be great.
Something also another person pointed out is the difference between Marvel Studios and Warner Brothers right now is that with them doing their first female solo film, like how long is it fucking taken? Like Wonder Woman came out how many years ago now?
Yeah.
And they're just getting to Captain Marvel. That with Brie Larson saying these things and being instead negative towards a group of people, DC in the meantime didn't do that with Wonder Woman. You did not have Gal Gadot out there going, white men are not welcome, basically saying that shit with the marketing. They were instead focusing on, the strong characters in the film, the women that worked on it, the team as a whole. They recognized Zack Snyder and his universe as well and being a big part of this. And now they're coming out with a Birds of Prey film. Suicide Squad, by the way, had a strong female lead with Harley Quinn.
Of course.
And now we're getting a team-up film of Birds of Prey. And once again, they're not going the negative way of promoting these films. Instead, they're just focusing on what they have, the strengths, the characters, and that is it. Like, there's a huge difference here.
Well, I think one of the greatest things about Wonder Woman, too, is exactly like you said. They didn't say this is for these people and not for these, this other group, right? They just made this amazing character in this great movie that all groups of people would enjoy watching. And through that say, wow, this is an awesome, but even so, they didn't focus on this is a female character, right? This is an amazing character, right? This Wonder Woman has had great comic books and she's strong by herself, and it's not because she's a woman. We're not going to focus on the fact that it's that she's a woman. She's just awesome. Be like Wonder Woman. Fuck yeah.
And I think that's why Wonder Woman did not have that massive backlash, because this particular group of people don't care like if it's Marvel or DC.
Right.
It just happens to be that they're going after Captain Marvel because of these interviews that Bree's having, as they market the film. And that's why you did not have that huge backlash with Wonder Woman, and you're not getting that with 1984 either. Like, they're not going after that or Birds of Prey.
Right.
Made your bed, now you lay in it.
Lie in it, Brie Larson and Marvel.
Moving on over to the comic book side of things, retailers can now order additional copies of DC Previews. So anyone that's not familiar, this is that part of the book that is now separate from the catalog that has all the DC comic books and merchandise. But before, when we needed extra copies, we couldn't get them. Whereas Marvel actually ends up sending us tons of extra copies, which we then use as giveaways, which actually ends up helping out their marketing way more for their comics.
They send you extra copies of this. They send you extra copies of the actual book. You just got to buy a shit ton of Marvel everything.
Yeah, the issue is still that they charge us for shipping on that shit. So that kind of sucks.
So you're still paying for it.
And not as much as they want this DC Previews wants us to pay, because we can order them at a price now, which I think ends up being like a quarter or 75 or 10 cents a piece, which is a lot. Like, we're not going to pay for additional copies when Marvel's giving us these for free. That makes no sense. So when one company's doing this, we can now point to it and say, hold on a second. Why are we ever going to pay to help market you even more when they're giving us their copies for free? Why can't you give us your copies for free?
Yeah, but theirs has Batman in it. You want to pay 10 cents for Batman?
I mean, I didn't. Like, I didn't order.
You're like, I'm a
store.
business, Kelly. Can't be paying fucking 10 cents.
After retailers asked Diamond and DC for the ability to get extra DC Previews, they obliged, again, by offering these at a cost. So it's a move in the right direction, but we're not quite there yet.
Something that I feel they have made a positive change on, though, is DC co-publisher Dan DiDio has announced that the 100-page giant comic anthologies will no longer be Walmart exclusives.
I'm guessing that the contract ended with them. It's not that they just went, no more. They probably just said, no re-up on it. Why don't we then now open these up for comic stores, which is great. The quote from Dan says, quote, "For these fans of the DC Giants at Walmart, have to clear up some misinformation making the rounds. Just want to let you know these books are doing well, so well that we are looking to expand the number of original pages in each book and include distribution to the direct market. Look for these and new titles later this year," end quote.
It wasn't said if these will be hitting the digital market. Maybe, maybe not. I don't foresee it hitting digital.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. The DC 100-page giant debuted last summer across Walmarts in the US. I don't know if this means that they're still going to be in Walmarts and Target, as we saw with DC Primal Age recently. I'm guessing that if it's doing as well as Dan says, that you'll find these at comic shops and at Walmarts.
I think it was really smart to put them in Walmart, because then you hit a different audience, right? The people who really want them, who typically shop at comic shops, are going to go to Walmart and try and find this. But then you have the kids who are with their mom browsing through Walmart and say, hey, can I have this? And yeah, sure, pick that up too. And then now you've reached further audiences. To leave it only exclusive there, I don't think is the right move, but to offer it in both places, I think is really smart.
Yeah, that's overall the consensus that I saw with a lot of retailers. Like, we weren't happy that there are exclusive stories to these books that our readerships can't get or get their hands on. And a lot of comic shops did go to Walmart's, bought the books there, and then brought them to their store, marked them up a little bit to make a profit. And then readers bought them because they're like, I don't want to go to Walmart. I can just get it at my comic shop.
Right.
So now that it's going to be available, there's obviously an interest with regular subs. And it is overall a good thing that they are available at Walmart because that is, for many people, could be their first comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I really enjoyed this 100-page special. Where else can I get more of these? That's where they eventually find their way into a comic shop where they have a huge selection, hopefully,
and they
of all of these titles.
All their money for the rest of their lives.
I have kids that come in every week and they'll buy their one comic book and then they'll go. Like every week they get their
Leo
comic.
when he gets old enough. You're like, Kelly.
Definitely.
He already shows up there almost once a week.
Yeah, almost. I'm excited for the 100-page Giants. This is great. I hope that the previous ones become available. I know that a lot of interviews on Word Balloon with the different creators like Tom King and Brian Michael Bendis have pretty much hinted that they're going to get these original stories eventually put together in a trade paperback.
Speaking of trade paperbacks, Taddeo also hinted in a private Facebook group that they're thinking of cutting down on trades and hardcovers.
This is really interesting, and I do have some way in here. The deal wrote, quote, "We feel there are too many collections in the market and the shelves are overcrowded with nothing standing out. We are rethinking ways to build collections, including adding material in the print versions that will not be available in the digital," end quote.
What are your thoughts on this? Coming as a comic book retailer.
Yeah, so the way I order some of these collections with Marvel or DC is that I look at the sales trends. So if it's a title that has been selling past its 4-week mark, so if it is selling out of the back issues, if it's a title that people are going back and getting issues of, then we can sell it as a trade paperback or a hardcover. Sometimes I will see if, like, okay, let's give the Green Lanterns a shot, like a first volume, a second volume. If they don't sell, that's when I don't order 3, 4, 5, or 6. In the case of Titans, which is coming to an end, I'm not ordering any more trades of that because that's a finite series and the book itself is not doing well. The strengths that come out of trade paperbacks is the classic stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily just one-shots or miniseries. It can be ongoings, like the Scott Snyder run on Batman. That is a forever seller. I can sell Court of Owls from now until the end of time.
Yeah.
I can sell Green Lantern by Jeff Johns, all 9 years of it from now until the end of time. But I can also sell original stories like Superman Red Sun, The Killing Joke, over to Marvel, Civil War, the first one, Infinity War, to an extent, Infinity Gauntlet, just right now because the movie's popular. Maybe Secret Wars, I sell all the time. Old Man Logan, the first volume of that. Those are the ones that I think they should focus on. And I know DC has started doing DC Essentials where they'll say, I think maybe it's called DC Classics, but they've compiled their best-selling volumes into one. So there's the DC Essentials Court of Owls. So it's just the 2 volumes into one, and that's its own type of label. And they did that with the more recently, there was another one. I think it was Blackest Night. Yeah, Blackest Night has another one. That's another forever seller. So if they go in that direction, I think it'd be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably not gaining as much in selling these different trade paperbacks. So if they were to do the same and actually see which ones are selling the most and only do trades of those, I'm not against that idea.
I think that's probably the right move. I can see as someone who's maybe trying to get into comics, you walk in and it feels very overwhelming because, yeah, you walk through and there's just tons of trade paperbacks everywhere, right? The benefit to that, like we found with when we started with Saga, is we could jump in and get caught up very easily.
Mm-hmm.
But exactly like, they've said here, sometimes it can clutter the shelves as well. So hopefully they go in the direction that you're talking about and see what's selling and just make those.
That does do it for our news for the week. Let's head into the Brocat block, which is where Papa Kelly and I have been this week, and we have a Brocat question.
This one comes from Twitter at JeremyOr13, who asks, at Reasons I'm Broke, this might be an unpopular opinion, but am I the only one who thinks Bendis ruined Superman? End quote.
Do you want to go first on the current Superman series?
I can. My thoughts are pretty brief. I'm not really keeping up with it. Like we say, there's so much going on in our lives, right? I have to pick and choose. I enjoyed what I read from the first few issues, but I won't say it's outstanding and over the top and something that really caught my attention.
Yeah, I pretty much have the exact same thing where it's not above and beyond. Like Peter J. Tomasi's run.
It's not up and away. I'm sorry.
It's not like Peter J. where he was killing it. He was doing an amazing job. He Did an amazing job on Batman and Robin in the New 52, and now he's killing it on Detective Comics. Anywhere Peter J. Tomasi goes, it is awesome. And one of the initiatives that they had with DC Rebirth is to bring back that classic Superman, not super classic, but the one right before the New 52. They merged that Superman with the New 52 one just to say there's only one, and here he's back, and It worked. I enjoyed that run of Superman from DC Rebirth. I enjoyed that family aspect. That's what people wanted. They wanted a Superman with a history, and that's what they brought back. And with the return, or with Bendis on the Superman book, and now obviously Peter J. Tomasi's off, he kind of undid that a little bit, where Jonathan Kent is older now, and he went off with Grandpa, and Lois Lane and Superman are still together, but it's not quite that family dynamic, although he's getting back to that a little bit, but it's definitely different than what we had in Rebirth.
Right.
I wouldn't go as far as to say that he's ruined the character. I wouldn't go in that direction, but it's definitely something that is not quite the Superman that I wanted or was used to. There's some inner dialogue that he writes that makes Superman kind of a little bit too petty in some ways, where he was just fighting Mongol in one of the issues, and he's like, I take out my frustrations on him and I really let loose. And it's kind of like you're higher than that Superman though.
Right.
Like you have, I know it's supposed to humanize him a bit, but they've done that in ways before, like in the Peter J. Tomasi one, where he is that higher standard of, human or Kryptonian, but there's still things that he's working through. And in this case, it's more of he's just this frustrated alien, which is a different take on it. Maybe that's how Bendis reads Superman, and that's fine. But yeah, I disagree. I don't think he ruined it, but it's not the Superman that they've been going for.
It's not as strong to our standards as we would like to see.
As always, if you want to ask questions, head on over to Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke, at Kelli. But where have you been this week?
The region of Kanto. Specifically, Lavender Town and Celadon City.
Is that halfway through the game, pretty much?
No, I'm only 3 gyms. Yeah, but no, it's not even halfway.
About a quarter.
Yeah, about a third, probably. So I really wanted to get to Celadon because, of course, I wanted my Team Rocket costume, and I got it.
Yes.
I am officially a part of Team Rocket, and I bought Pikachu $10,000 sunglasses, and he looks like a badass.
Looks like a fucking boss.
A Team Rocket boss? Anyway, you made fun of me because I was like, look at these glasses. They were $10,000. And you were like, hee, what's Pikachu going to wear when he's Team Rocket? I'm like, still the sunglasses. And he looks so badass. I took a screenshot. I'm going to post it soon. But he stands there and he's just like, yeah.
You got to also customize the rocket suit. Because you can just do the shirt if you want.
Oh, yeah.
You can do the skirt. You can do the shoes.
You've been able to do that for forever. So all your clothes that you get, you can wear them in different pieces. You don't have to wear the whole outfit. I wear the whole outfit because I want to immerse myself. Well, previously, so when you get to Lavender Town, they give you a morning outfit. So you're all in black. It's called a formal outfit, right? But you can just wear all black while you're going through the graves.
Do you get a new suit for each town?
Not each town, but you do get a good number of suits.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's one that I haven't gotten is a Raichu suit. So when you get the highest level of love with your Pikachu, they give you a Raichu suit because he's never going to turn into Raichu. So they're like, here you go, you can wear this Raichu suit. And later in the game, once you beat the Elite Four and everything, you go back and find Jesse and James. I'm spoiling this for somebody, I'm sure. But you go back and find Jesse and James and they fight you, even though you're the champion, and obviously they suck. And then they give you the white Team Rocket suit.
That's
which
amazing.
I need it right now, right? That's why I continue to play the game.
Are you just going to switch off between the traditional black Rocket and then the anime white?
Well, I feel like when I get to the anime white, that is the epitome of Team Rocket, right? Because they already told me when they gave me this suit that they would realize I'm not part of them because I'm too short. Can I tell you, though? So the person who gives you the suit is a secret spy dressed as Team Rocket with red hair. And I'm like, they fucking put me in the game. There I am right there hiding out.
If only you could switch the fucking avatars.
Right? And I'm so mad because you can't be a redhead, but whatever. So I've been having a lot of fun with the game, walking around. There are some minor differences that I saw. So when you leave Lavender Town to go to Celadon, you remember there were those 4 people that you had to fight? They were in a line right before you got to they're not there anymore. So there's little things where they give you less people to fight, but then everybody who knows horn drill hits you every time. So there's that.
Yeah, I'm glad you're having a lot of fun with Let's Go. Do you have an update on your team? Who they are right now? Who you're using?
I switched back to Charmeleon.
Yeah, you mentioned that last
I switched out my Growlithe because Growlithe just doesn't really get very strong, right? It'd be very difficult to use Growlithe. So right now, I still have my Pikachu, obviously, who learned a flying attack.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's some ringmaster. I don't know. He's always dressed like a circus man. And you run into him occasionally in the Poke Centers, and he'll just teach your Pokemon or teach your Pikachu a super strong move. So Pikachu doesn't know any normal Pikachu moves. He just knows super strong one-hit KO moves. And I use him as a last resort because he's my strongest too. So I always switch out my Pokemon, whoever's the lowest level, right, and train them up so that they get stronger. And then I just have to heal after every Pokemon battle, whatever. So Pikachu is my last resort. When somebody's really pissing me off, I'm like, here's my Zippy Zap Pikachu. And he's always like, Pika Pika, and kills him. So yeah, he learned a flying type move, which is a lot of fun. So I have my Pikachu. I still have Gyarados. I have Nidorino, who I haven't evolved yet. I have Charmeleon. I have Venusaur now. He did evolve. He's hopping after me.
Yes.
And I have Kadabra, who will never evolve because you won't get Pokemon so that we can trade.
But you like Kadabra just as he is.
Yeah, but I'd like an Alakazam too. So if anybody wants to trade, can you trade via internet?
Yeah, you can trade and then trade back.
All right, somebody trade me. I don't need my cables anymore.
And they go, no trade backs.
No!
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I've been playing some Fire Emblem Warriors, I think it is. I've been trying to finish that because I know it's not as long as, I guess, some of the other titles we might have or the ones that are coming. I know I want to get Odyssey, but I don't want to buy it and then not play Fire Emblem or Smash Brothers or any of the other games that I haven't. Like the Lego, we still have to go through that Lego game that we bought years ago.
Lego Batman from literally before we got married.
And also there's another Fire Emblem game coming out, The Three Houses, this year that we have to play. And we just talked about that, like Hogwarts. So I got to finish Warriors.
We just need to switch the PS3s so that we can play games more often.
Yeah, I think so too. But that's pretty much what I've been doing this week. I know we've been putting in numbers for Free Comic Book Day so those I don't like that they're still advertising them in previews because a lot of those titles are indie titles that I've had people like, hey, can I get this? And it's already like out of print and past FOC. So it's like, stop advertising them. Like if we can't order them, don't put it in the book.
Right.
But whatever. Like if they want to advertise Free Comic Book Day, I'm obviously totally great with that, but not the individual titles that we can't get. And then, yeah, I mean, sales for February are higher than last year than they were at this point in time. So things are looking good for the store as far as, the work on that portion of it. And yeah, I think that's all I could. Oh, I got a fucking haircut for the first time in goddamn, like a proper fucking haircut.
Like, not just a trim. It's pretty short.
Yeah, it's the shortest my hair has been in years. Many years.
The last time it was this short, I think it was our 3rd anniversary. So we're talking 7 years since your hair has been this short. What are your thoughts?
It's not as bad as I expected. Like honestly, I probably could have shaved bald and I would have been like, no, that's fine. Like like the thing is I look in the mirror and I'm like, I'm still an attractive man. Listen, okay.
We're sitting here and I've been contemplating your hair this whole podcast, right? Because when we do this podcast, I just get to look at you for an hour now that we've been going on with this. And you have a lot of Chris Evans vibes. Like, a lot.
See, he's not one of my man crushes.
But I don't know if it's the angle I'm saying. He's a man crush for a lot of women. I think that this will help you out more than you think in the shop.
More sales, maybe?
I think so. It looks really good on you.
Cut to next week. Oh, man. We're struggling. I don't know if I'm going to have this job.
Me.
They closed the store. Sorry, Brookheads. I can't pay for this. No, I don't know. We'll see. Like, we'll see what happens. But this is it. Like, this is going to be it moving forward. I don't plan on growing out my hair again because the whole reason I cut it in the first place is my hairline, as you said, I have Vegeta hair.
I love your Vegeta hair.
But you like my shorter hair more.
I do. I don't know. I think it fits your face better.
My big ass head.
I think it's a more mature hairstyle.
The whole reason, too, is eventually I will go even balder and I'll just have to shave my head and I'll keep the beard, which is great. you know, I got lucky in that aspect because I know my dad can't grow a full beard.
I know a lot of people who can't.
Yeah, like it'll end up being patchy, I guess, for them. But I'm lucky in that aspect. So when I do eventually go bald, I'll never go bald on my chin or my fucking face. So I'm happy about it. And I think it does complement the shorter hair a little bit more. I think it highlights the beard even more.
I think it does too.
As you can tell, I'm a little bit vain. So obviously that was it for this week.
I think you still look very attractive.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Even though your wife is a saggy mess now after the birth of your child. Just destroyed me.
Like I don't know. I don't know what to say here because I still think you look amazing. But if I say that, then no, you're wrong. Like with all women, right? No, you're lying. You're just saying that. So it's like, well,
I showed somebody at work that meme that I sent you of studies show that women need more sleep because they use their brains more. And the comment was, what was it? Yeah, jump at all these false conclusions. And so he had just read the first half of it, and he's like, "Nuh-uh," and then he read the second half, and he was like, "Yeah." He started laughing.
Let's head into our thank yous for all of our Patreons, our Patreon shout outs for the week.
These are all the people who help make this show possible for you all every single week. The first one goes out to Alexander, whose Twitter handle is at Swordfish Show. You can also go to purpleswordfish.com.
That's right, go to purpleswordfish.com. It will lead you straight to his YouTube channel where he has been streaming some casual World of Warcraft gaming, and he's had guests on there such as Julian from Lazy Gaming Guys and Andy from the now retired Dead Channel Duo podcast.
I didn't even know people still played World of Warcraft.
Oh, it's huge.
It was but I feel it was bigger, 10 years ago now? 11 years ago?
Maybe it was more in the news or in gaming. I don't know. I still think it does really well, but I don't know. Maybe it's on a slight downturn, but I know Alex is having a lot of fun with it. And I'm glad that he's having more fun with these other games. I know with Madden, it's kind of like, I guess sort of like when I play Call of Duty or when I used to play it more quote unquote competitively, where I would get frustrated at certain kills or certain matches. And that's kind of what he can get into with Madden, where that's a lot of his fan base. They love seeing those videos, but it's a lot of grind, right? Every weekend. And then when he's playing people online, the game is fucking with you. And but then when he gets to just play, for fun, Forza, World of Warcraft, and he's bullshitting with other guys that, we all know, I think that's where he's having the most fun out of everything. And it's great to see that. So once again, purpleswordfish.com.
Our next shout out goes out to Lourdes and Katie.
Katie recently ran a 5K. Did she also do a 3K? Is that a thing?
I mean, 3K. You can do whatever Ks you want. I did see a 5K. There was another race, too. One of which was a superhero race, which I wish I'd known about because I totally would have signed up for that shit.
Could you run a 5K right now? Like, if you were to go tomorrow, how many miles is that?
3.1.
Could you do that?
Like, straight?
Yeah.
I probably couldn't do a straight right now. I can do a mile straight. Probably. Maybe a mile and a half. I could probably finish a 5K in 35, 40 minutes right now if I pushed myself. It's been a long time.
Yeah, well, good on Katie for signing up for this. I know she went with her friends, so hopefully more of those in her way, and she had fun with that.
Disney races are next. Those things are addictive. We just had the Princess half marathon roll through here. I knew somebody who ran it, and she's like, it was just a girls' weekend. You couldn't even run anywhere because it was all girls' weekend.
The next shout out goes out to Bobby on Twitter at Cuban Slim.
Bobby helped judge a massive Pokemon TCG tournament last weekend.
I know he said he got a ton of experience just from that massive volume. And that's huge for his judge status as well, because that's a massive event. And I know he had to do the juniors round, or the amount of it, in which I've judged the Pokemon TCG as well. And anytime it's juniors, there's a lot more mistakes because it's just younger kids, it's younger players. They get nervous, especially, and a little bit less focused when they get to that point, especially the final rounds. So he got to, handle more penalties, and overall, it sounds like it went really well for him. He had a lot of fun, and he's just doing bigger and bigger tournaments. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if, in the future we saw him helping judge a Worlds tournament, which I think would be really cool for him to go to.
That would be awesome. Our final shout out this week goes out to Neil, whose Twitter handle is at Inmats68.
Neil retweeted at GetFandom, who said, quote, "Since 2008, Disney has won an Oscar for Best Animated Film whenever they're nominated. Last night, Spider-Verse put an end to that," end quote. And that's how I saw that great fun fact that Sony Animation did it with that streak break from Disney.
Fantastic job.
So thank you once again, Neil, Bobby, Lourdes and Katie, and Alexander for your Patreon support.
If you too would like to be a Patreon shout out, very simple. You can go to patreon.com/thereasonsimebroke for as little as $1 a month. That's 25 cents an episode. You too can have your shout out.
In case you want to represent us out in the world, out in the wild, next time you go to your comic book shop, if you want to wear a t-shirt, represent the Brokehead Core, head on over to thereasonsimbroke.com, click on merch, and we have a variety of styles available on our TeePublic store, and you can choose all kinds of different colors, and you can choose long sleeve, you can choose V-neck on some of these t-shirts.
You can choose baby shirts.
That's right, mugs, so it's not just t-shirts. Once again, thereasonsimbroke.com, click on merch.
And as always, a very special thank you to Jose from decalavenue.com, who helps us with the rewards at the $5 tier.
Let's finish things off today with our final portion of the show, and that is the March 2019 Previews Catalog Highlights.
When it comes to Previews Catalogs, you and I look at very different things. You're there looking at the comics, these awesome stories, the variants. I'm looking at the stuff.
The merch.
I want the merch, bitches.
To anyone not familiar with the Previews Catalog, it is essentially a Christmas catalog, but for comics and merch and t-shirts.
Every month.
Every month. It is $3.99. It is fucking huge. And it has, this is where comic shops do their orders from. Every comic book, every series, every one-shot, every Funko Pop, every statue, toy, all of that is ordered from that catalog. And readers can get it for $4. I know they're printed at a loss, so that you can get one. Get one every single month, if anything, to look at all the cool stuff that they have on there and that they have available. And you can pre-order it from your comic book shop, anything you see on there. So yes, it is one of my favorite weeks anytime the Previews catalog comes in. And of course, I've got more that I'm going to order at my comic shop now. So one of the things that, I guess one of the first things that I'm going to highlight is on the DC catalog, there's Deceased. So it is DCEASED, where it is a post-apocalyptic, the world ends in the DC universe, and we find out how the world's greatest superheroes handle a world that's already ended. So that is going to be the story
So
setup.
how Batman figures it out and saves the day
Yes.
is what this book is.
One of the variants is the It poster. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's like the balloon and it's covering the clown's face, and it's the Joker, and I think it's Robin as the little kid.
Whoa.
So it's kind of like a recreation of that really neat variant. And then there's another one who I believe is by Lee Bermejo, done in the style of Batman Damned. I might be a different artist, but it definitely looks like that kind of cover. And then, of course, the main cover, which is going to be different. But I definitely signed on for that miniseries.
On the cooler things side of the book, they're releasing a lot of Kingdom Hearts things. So a lot of action figures, if that's what you're looking for, obviously, because the game just came out and there's a lot of hype. But if you're enjoying the game a lot, you want some more merchandise, all throughout this book, there was Kingdom Hearts.
Another DC miniseries is Batman Last Night on Earth. It's actually a DC Black Label title. As we said before, it is not going to be in that oversized format. It's going back to the standard. And we talked about it before, where it is a sane Batman who was not Batman in this particular world that he wakes up in. And he's walking around with Joker's severed head, who he talks to and talks to him back. So it is an out-of-continuity story, but now you can actually sign up for it at your local comic shop.
There were also some really cool Nightmare Before Christmas things. My favorite one was Jack in the sleigh, and then it had all the skeleton reindeer. Did you see that one?
Yeah, you showed me that one.
It was so cool. We used to collect Nightmare Before Christmas things long time ago. Not really on our radar anymore, but that's definitely something to check out.
Another new series, and this one I'm not reading, but I know that there's a lot of readership for it because the book did really well. But the next miniseries for Stranger Things, titled 6, it is a prequel to the show. So the previous series is actually the story during the show where you see where one of the kids is as he's trying to avoid the Demogorgon. But in this case, it is a prequel to the whole show. So I think that's going to be another really popular book. Batman TMNT 3, you can now
Yes.
also sign on for in that miniseries, which we also covered last week. And real quick, another one is a one-shot that Sonic Treasure Hunter is going to be getting, as well as myself. It's called Sonic Team Racing Plus Deluxe Championship Edition. It is a one-shot of the previous Team Racing book, except now it's got a bunch of extra content, like racing tracks from the game and extra content from the book itself.
You know what's cooler than all of that?
What's that?
More Dragon Ball Z Pop Finals.
Some Funko Pops. Which ones are coming out? What'd you see?
They have more Vegeta.
Yeah,
They
with the
have-
wavy hair.
Yeah, they have Raditz and they have Nappa. Oh, there's Frieza on there too. And Goku again,
I suppose.
I suppose. I just want the Vegeta. He's so cool. He's like going to blast you.
Yeah, it's the one right when the Saiyans landed. It's in that same era. On the Marvel side, there is actually one that I wanted to highlight because it's gotten a lot of heat. It is Savage Avengers, which is the team made up of Venom, Elektra, the Punisher. There is also Wolverine on the team. It is basically, they title it and market it as like the unkillable team. But it's also got Conan the Barbarian.
What?
like on that team. So it's like really legitimizing him in the Marvel universe, which is really interesting. I had 3 subs that wanted to sign up for this even before it hit the previews catalog. When it hit Twitter, when it hit online, because these artists and writers talk about it and they solicit a little bit early, I was like, all right, this is going to be huge. It's got Venom in it already. Like, that's massive, but it's also got the Punisher and Wolverine. Huge hits for a lot of the readership, especially the older readership that grew up reading comics in the 70s and 80s.
The last thing that I really remember that kind of caught my attention, and I don't really know what it is, but they had all these little figures. They looked very small. They said bag clips, so I don't entirely know what that means, but it caught my attention because you had Mike and Sully, and then they had Boo. And where do you ever see Boo, right? It was adorable. So if you're a huge Disney fan, they had those, they had Marvel, and then there was one more set that they had that was a movie, and I don't remember what it was because I was just more attached to these other things. But that was really cool and cute. They, of course, had all the ladies bent over doing
The anime chicks?
Yes, all the anime chicks. These were more graphic than I feel that I've seen in previous catalogs, though, because their thongs were all up their ass.
Just sucked by the asshole, like
Yes.
just all right in there. I've got 3 more things that I have on my list here. Go-Go Power Rangers issue number 20.
Cool.
That's in the Boom Studios section of the catalog. The Mercado variant has the Green Ranger, what looks to be playing the flute, and it's done in an amazing art style. Very similar to the helmets. I think it's the same artist, actually. The helmet close-ups that they did back when the series first started. Not Go-Go, but Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I'm definitely going to get that variant. There's also a second edition to the Batman Black and White Batman Who Laughs statue. The first ones went quickly out of print, and they'll do a second run of these, and usually what they'll do is they'll invert the base colors. So instead of the black base, you'll see the white base on it. In case you want a closer look at the statue, Papa Kelly and I did an unboxing of it on youtube.com/thereasonsimBroke.
Don't they usually do a second printing of more of a gray, too? Am I wrong about that? Is it just the base?
I thought it was just the base.
Huh.
But I could be, maybe they've done it with some of the previous statues where they did a different color scheme on it. But overall, it's a great statue, and
It's spooky.
it is awesome. It's really cool. The final one, and I guess I should have covered it when you were talking about Dragon Ball, but they added Broly Banpresto statues into that section. So I know last month we got a model kit, I think, that they added on there. Maybe one Broly figure, and one came out on Wednesday where it's his normal form, where he's still taking on Super Saiyan God Goku and Vegeta, even though he's not even a Super Saiyan.
Oh my god.
And in this case, they've now solicited the Super Saiyan Broly ones as the statues that are in that same line of super popular Banpresto figurines. So I'm really happy with it. I can sell Broly forever. Such a popular character, and they really did him justice in the new movie, which is actually that version of the character.
Cool. I still have to see that movie someday.
I pre-ordered it on Blu-ray, so we're getting it when it releases, and you
Awesome.
can definitely watch it. Which, by the way, Spider-Verse came out digitally. We can actually rent it on Vudu now if you want to
Ooh.
watch it. So I
Yeah,
think we
nice.
definitely should watch the
That's how I see my
Oscar
movies
winner.
now when they come out.
But yeah, those are kind of our highlights with the previews catalog for this month. We'll do it again next month since you guys did enjoy it the first time we did it. So we've got a lot of great stuff in this catalog, and we hope we gave you guys some ideas on something you can at least try out, or maybe a new series that you did not know was out there and you can now sign up for.
For the amount of money it costs for a previews catalog, obviously it's definitely recommended by both of us because it's so cool just to flip through it and see all the cool things that are coming out, things that you may not have known that you wanted. There's a Pickle Rick with no arms or legs, by the way. I did see him.
For all the Morty and Rick fans out there.
Yes.
So that about wraps up everything as well for the podcast this week.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, the best thing you can do for us is reach out to us on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke, Kelli. Tell your friends about us. That's how the word about the show spreads.
That's right. Huge thanks to all of you for helping spread the word about the podcast. This month has already eclipsed January's, making February 2019 the most downloaded month of the year so far. So huge thanks for that boost in downloads and for telling your friends and family about the show. Definitely helps us out. Outside of that, though, I have been Cool Trainer Daniel.
And I'm your Emperor Kelli.
And Brokehead Core.
All will be well.